just like Nate Dogg. You know it's a hit when he's spinning.
Is smoke your name or smoking what you do?
It's not the same old anymore. It's something fresh and something new.
People in general, they hate rich kids.
Let's get unfiltered.
Smoke, as we get into the show today, I just want to know those glasses on the commercial that they play that you got on. Did you get those off of eBay or did you get them at the mall?
$1,000.
All right. Welcome to Unfiltered. I am your host, Carl Reed.
And I'm Smoke Dixon.
In today's episode, we will break down David Sanders in our Cut on the Tape segment, the top offensive lineman in the country, one of the top ones, analyzing his game with the finalists and how he fits into each potential team. Crunch time, the latest intel in college football. I'm excited to see David Sanders. Recruiting is big business.
I'm reading Smoke Dixon, I'm spitting facts. Now let's hit some heated topics, yes, it's time for group chat.
We got a big commitment coming up this weekend from David Sanders, so let's get into it right away. Our first topic on the group chat will be breaking down David Sanders Jr.'s game. Smoke, we're talking about right now, Providence Day School, Charlotte, North Carolina, 6'6", 290-pound, five-star prospect, number 3 overall prospect, the number 1 ranked offensive tackle, number 1 player from North Carolina. We say he has elite foot quickness, explodes out of his stance. This is a pretty good pro comparison when you're talking about Charles Cross. Smoke.
Now, Reed, I did Charles when he was at Mississippi State. When you saw that kid, you saw athletic movement, balance and body control, the ability to get to first, second level, and when he got into space, finished, gathered, dumped you on the ground. Very similar. Great comp for this one.
Listen, if you're saying that he's similar, Smoke, you're gonna have to show me.
Well, listen, Carl, what we're going to do, we're going to cut this tape on right now. Cut the tape.
David Sanders Jr., number 3 overall prospect, 5-star. Smoke, let's talk about this kid, his style of play. What's his skill set like? What do you see when you cut the film on?
Well, when you cut the film on, you see elite movement. When I say elite movement, that's first step get off. When you see that when he even plays defense. He gets into defensive players quicker than he does. Now, first clip right here. 3-point position, coming off the ball. Not bad, but you see him generate power, but he finishes with the guy on the ground. Just keep concept on how he pops up off of the ground. Again, first level contact, knocks the guy back. And when you talk about offensive line, Carl, you want to talk about his ability to create movement at the line of scrimmage. Now, when you talk about elite offensive line play, his ability to gather and adjust on the move. Right here, you see him in a good fit position, takes a guy to the sideline, dumps him on the ground. But listen, what I like to get into is when guys come up off the ground. When he pops up off the ground, you see pure athleticism. Big guys that aren't really athletic stay on the ground and take about 5 seconds to get up off the ground. But with this kid, you see him pop up off the ground, cat-like reflexes, balance, and body control. Next, we're going to see him on the move again. But this one, we're going to see him at the 3rd level. Get out, pull, adjust, finds a defender. Good fit position, knees over toes, drives, finish, balance, finish him. And listen, Carl, can he run? He's going to meet you in the end zone as well, too. And that's what we're talking about with elite offensive line play. The ability to stay on your feet, gather when you have contact, but his ability to get off and get into the defender first without being knocked around. Right now, they're saying he's about 275, 290 pounds. But when he makes contact with the defenders, and you see him in that conflict and that combine and all that combat, and you see him getting moved around, you see elite balance and body control, cat-like reflexes to gather his feet, get in the power position, and finish with the opponent on the ground.
Now, Smoke, you talk a lot about his ability to move his feet, the way he plays in space. Does he have the strength, the upper body strength, and the lower body strength to come off the ball and move SEC defensive linemen off their spot?
This is where he separates himself, Carl. Whenever you talk about defensive linemen, people don't talk about offensive linemen. His cat-like and his get-off. right now in pass pro. Watch him, see how quick he gets off, sets, body, in a position to anchor, hops, and now has the ability to sink just because of his overall ability to bend and his mobility and his strength in his lower half. Quickness to get set, you're not going to beat him with speed. But this is a concern for everybody. Can he anchor?
Speed to power.
Can he anchor and handle speed to power rushes? We know right now, maybe only 5% of the world are true speed, edge, bend guys. Everybody else going to speed to power. So that's where you want that mass in that torso. You want to see that 300-pound barrel chest, big chest guy that when you have that power, you now can absorb, anchor, and sit on down. But the athletic traits, elite. Weight gain, strength, and he's going to have to spend some time in that weight room to now get his armor refined and get ready to battle in the Big Ten or SEC.
One question I have for you here, Smoke. In a recruitment like this, when you're talking about a guy that has massive NFL potential, do you lean towards the school that can develop you best to play offensive tackle in the National Football League, or do you look at the NIL package everybody's putting together?
Well, when you look at his skill set, Carl, this young man has NFL written all over him. So I'm always going to tell you to bank on what you can do later on in terms of your development, because you can go to a school and don't get developed and you're going second or third round, or you can go to a program that now gets you into the first round. You might lose $200,000 in NIL, but guess what? You're going to make it up in $20 to $30 million down the road. So you tell me what you want: early money, or long play money.
I like that kind of math. So we're talking about fit. Let's go into our second question in the group chat here. How does David Sanders fit in with his top 4 finalists? And Smoke, let's start off with Georgia. We got Georgia, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Tennessee. Let's first look at what is the fit like with the Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, Bow Wow Bulldogs. When you talk about fit, you talk about Coach Searles, offensive line coach. This is his 3rd year there. Now he's put 4 first-rounders in the last 2 years, 7 since 2020. So right now, what you're saying is, this is where you want to go when you want to be developed and become a first-round offensive lineman. This is where you want to go and say, listen, I'm going to play and practice against elite defenders every single day. So if I have to sit down for a year in redshirt, I'm okay, because I'm going against first and second rounders every single day. So when I do get ready in year 2, I'm ready, armored up to go.
Do kids even have the capacity now though to sit out and red shirt? Like, guys want to play right now. So in addition to that, is the opportunity there to play early at a place like Georgia?
His skill set says yes. It's going to do a ton for him of what he's going to do in the weight room and his overall development of picking up this pro-style offense. And that's another reason why the fit, if you're thinking about NFL, Coach Bowo's running an NFL system, NFL terminology, blitz pickup, pass protection, understanding the run game. That's where the fit right there, Georgia, not really a big issue.
All right, well, let's stay in the SEC here. All right, well, they used to be the SECs. I don't know how they got them all broke up. It's hard to keep up with them.
Just SEC.
Yeah, so let's stay in the SEC, and let's talk about the fit at the University of Tennessee, who was also one of the finalists. We think about Tennessee. What are we going here?
Well, you talk about Tennessee, first time in a long time that they've been able to run the ball. But the way that they play an up-tempo offense. His skill set says he can play it. You just saw him second, third level, run down the field, and we know Tennessee likes to play within 5 to 8 seconds of the ball being placed, not the clock, the ball being placed. So when you're there and you're a young guy and you say, you know what, I have to get developed in my strength and I have to really worry about anchoring and pass pro, the way that they play, most of the time, those defensive linemen, they're out of gas. So for him early, yes, he can play because the system says you are ready to play. Other than the system before at Georgia where you're sitting there and you're going to have to dig defensive linemen out. You're going to have to make blitz pickups. You're going to have to anchor against heavy-handed, 3 techniques that's running that TE stunt, or defensive ends that's saying, hey, you know what? He's only 280 pounds. My number one thing that I'm going to do against him is speed to power and try to walk him into the quarterback's lap.
Glenn Ellerbe, one of the really good offensive line coaches in the country at the University of Tennessee. Do they run the ball enough at Tennessee, or do they have the style run game for a guy to be a first-round pick on the offensive line?
Yeah, they run. So when you think about Tennessee, everyone says tempo, tempo, tempo. But they do run the ball. They run the ball at a high level, just not in the same facet as Georgia of running power, gap schemes, duo blocks, and trying to knock guys off of the ball.
So I sat down with some NFL scouts earlier today, and they raved about this program. And we've talked about them a lot on our show. Ohio State, loaded with NFL talent all over the place. What would his fit be like at the Ohio State University?
Call. Like I said before, it's not how he fits, it's how the program fits him. He can fit anywhere. Coach Fry coming over, this is his second season there. Understanding they had 8 draft picks since 2020. Both of their left tackles, their tackles in the last couple of years, they're both starters. One starts in Cleveland, and Paris started in Arizona. So you are going to get development. And again, when you go to a program that has high-level and elite talent with depth, it does not matter if you play year one, because you're going to go against elite players every day in practice to develop yourself. And now you're going to the Big Ten. Now you're going to the Big Ten in Ohio State. You are going to have to play against a different type of player. I've worked in the Big Ten and the SEC. In the SEC, you have dynamic, twitched-up guys that can get on the edge and edge you.
Freaky athletes.
Freak athletes. In the Big Ten, you're going against heavy-handed, corn-fed guys that want to knock the crap out of you and play through you to the quarterback. And in the run game, you know what they're doing. So now when you look at this kid, this is where you see his explosiveness. This is where you see him power cleaning. Look how quickly those long arms and how quickly the twitch when he gets it from his hips all the way up, racket, and come down, set, stand up tall. There's not a problem with his power. There's not a problem with his explosiveness. The issue with him is going to be, can you get to 300-plus pounds and get ready to play in the Big Ten or the SEC against heavy-handed, dynamic athletes that's going to look at you and say, you're a young guy, that you don't have that much mass, I'm going to see if I can run through you.
One thing that's impressive about that power clean video, most longer guys struggle turning over that much weight on power clean, explosive, and has some weight room strength there. A school that's on here in the 4th slot, and this is in no particular order, the University of Nebraska, and Matt Rule has been known for developing really good offensive linemen over the course of his career. Smoke, what do you think about how the University of Nebraska plays into this?
Well, Nebraska plays into this simple fact that Coach Raiola is there for his 3rd season. And Matt Rule, like you said, known to develop offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. He wants to play a physical style of offensive play. Coach Satterfield being an OC there, had time against him at App State. You'll see the system is spread, but it's a power spread system. Mm-hmm. He wants to run duo. He wants to run inside zone, and he wants to get downhill and get after you. And he wants to play a physical type of game. And again, this is the Big Ten. So regardless of what and how you want to play, your opponents are going to play a heavy-handed, not back type of game up front, and the game is going to be played up front.
And Sanders will be a good fit. You talked about his ability in the run game, playing duo, doing a lot of split zone stuff. And they run some really great gap scheme stuff with Coach Satterfield at Nebraska. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what this young man does and the decision he makes on Saturday.
But here's the thing. Even when he makes that decision, when you look at all 4 of those schools have different expectations. At Georgia, you're afforded to sit down a year and get developed. Tennessee, it ramps up a little bit because you got to get on the football field because he's going to ask for $1 million plus in NIL. When you talk about Ohio State, you can take that year, red shirt, because they have players in front of you that can play. Nebraska, today, right now, you got to go and play.
You know, the thing is, when you're talking about a player of this magnitude, NIL is definitely going to play a factor. Along with it, you mentioned $1 million, Smoke. That's a heavy, heavy price for a guy that you saying might need to develop for a year. I'll be interested to see what he does on Saturday during his commitment. This is going to be a big one on our 24/7 Sports Network. We're excited. We're excited to have that commitment here on Saturday. So, Smoke, We're going to go now to our crunch time, the latest news and injury reports around the country. Let's start here, all right? Let's start here first. Colorado assistant Warren Sapp has interesting analogies about the Buffs' D-line, Smoke. What do you think about what Warren Sapp and Damian Lewis are doing on the defensive line at Colorado?
Now, Coach, you want to sit here and you want to ask me about Colorado play and what Coach Sapp and Coach Lewis is doing out there. You daggone well and understand that you are Mr. Buff. So instead of you throwing that to me, I'm going to throw it back to you in terms of understanding what Coach Lewis and what Coach Sapp has done for that offensive line and unlocking those young men and playing faster, more aggressive, and hunting the ball carrier and the quarterback.
They've changed the mentality there, first of all. They've changed the mentality for what's going on there. They got guys coming off the ball, playing with tremendous technique and attitude. That's really what it boils down to, and I think it's going to make a huge difference there for Colorado.
Here we go again. Mizzou's up there. Darius Smith will miss the entire 2024 season due to a knee injury. Do you want to make that bet, Coach? Because I know you have me, Bama. Right now, he's hurt. He was positioned to start, but now we're looking at him as a rotational guy. This is where the depth comes in and where you have to build your team from the ground level on up. When you lose one, it kind of hits you, but I think they have enough guys there to continue rolling because they did a pretty good job in the recruiting class.
Darius was having a very good camp, but he was not a for-sure starter. He was going to be part of a rotation. I think the Tigers will be fine as long as they can stay healthy at the other spots. Smoke, let's go now. Texas loses running back Christian Clark out for the season with a torn Achilles, second running back that goes down for them. How does this affect the Texas Longhorns?
Well, Coach, they got three there that's still there, but when you have three running backs in the room, you really need 5 or 6 to go through practice. So this is where Coach Sarkisian has to become creative, and this is where personnel did a good job. We'll find out if they did a good job of adding some athletes on defense that they might be able to take over and put them at the running back position, but also Coach Sark being interested of what he's doing of using those receivers in screen games and Z sweeps like he did at Alabama.
Steve Sarkisian, one of the great offensive minds in all of college football. I'm sure he's going to do some things, receivers, H-backs, like you said. But when it gets playoff time in the SEC, you got to be able to run the football. I'm sure, though, there's somebody at Texas who can tote the ball. Too much talent there.
Well, Reed, I like to tell you that I told you, Tyler Van Dyke, starting quarterback in Wisconsin. Now, Coach said he's 1A and there's a 1B behind him. I'll be on the lookout to see if he struggles a little bit, but this guy is a veteran. He can play. He's played at Miami. He understands the pass game. He understands protection. He understands where to get the ball to. The only issue that he had in Miami, decision-making, and turning that ball over. Reed, listen to me. We all know what this is. We just ran through the crunch time. We understand the importance of depth. We understand the injuries are part of this. It's week 2 going into training camp. We understand what it is. Next man up.
Smoke, flag on the play section. Everybody knows what this is. Who you throwing your flag on today?
Reed, I'm coming off the top rope again like I do weekly. College football programs not understanding the importance of the front office model and setting your team up for success. We just read through a bunch of injury reports. We just saw the next man up concept. If college programs aren't investing truly into the process of developing a front office model with true scouts, true DPPs, not using in recruiting, and building your staff and building your program with depth, so when you do have a few injuries, you can bounce right back. Get y'all programs together. Front office are taking over, and they're going to rule the world of college football moving forward. It's important. You got to have the players in order to play.
Smoke, for me, my flag today is about the coaches who are slow to accept that front offices are changing the development. You got to adjust, adapt, and move on. As a position coach now, you don't get to control recruiting and what's going on in the field. And guys who are dinosaurs and who are not willing to make that adjustment, they're going to find themselves in trouble as more head coaches go to a front office model that is completely separating the on-field coaching and the recruiting. Smoke.
Coach, you don't see Coach Sark sitting there shaking his hand, biting his nails. Brandon Harris has it under control.
Hey, he's doing great things. He's one of the very best in the country. Guys, on our show, 24/7 Sports YouTube channel, you can check us out every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You have been unfiltered. For Smoke Dixon, I am Carl Reed.